Hello everyone, Jolene here from Bookworm Adventure Girl. Welcome back. I hope that you are all well. This is where I talk about the books that I'm reading. I like to read diverse books and I highlight Canadian literature. If you are new, thanks so much for checking out my channel. Please hit subscribe and stick around. Today I am going to be talking about all of the books that I hauled in March. This means that the TBR stack has grown yet again. The TBR stack is currently at $14.94, so we will see where it is after this haul. As always, I'm going to start with the books that I received from publishers and ZG Stories. So first up is a book from Book Hug Press, and it is Play by Jess Taylor. Jess Taylor is an author and poet from Toronto, and Play is a debut novel that is being published on April the 23rd. And it sounds pretty interesting. The book is described as haunting. And there seems to be two different worlds, the real world and the fantasy world of the lighted city. And there are two main characters, Paulina and her cousin Adrian. And as kids, they pretend to live in the lighted city. So it's a story about imagination, but it's also a story about real life, PTSD and trauma. And the two seem connected by the day that everything happened. So I totally want to know what that's all about. What is this day that everything happened? And this brings the TBR to $14.95. Next, from the University of Calgary Press, is Limited Verse by David Martin. This is being published on April the 30th. And this is poetry, but it's unique. This is a near future narrative where a prison population is being taken to a world where their memories will be clean and they will have a new language called New English, which consists of only 850 words. So I will be very interested to see how this language comes together and how this story comes together with that limited language. This brings the TBR to $14.96. Next up, I have a trilogy also from ZG Stories and from Douglas and McIntyre. They are perfect for March Mystery Madness. This trilogy is the Priscilla Tempest mysteries by Ron Bass and Prudence Emery. And first is Death at the Savoy. The second book is Scandal at the Savoy. And then the third book from this cozy mystery trilogy, which was just published on March 9th, is Princess of the Savoy. So the main character in this is Priscilla Tempest, who is a Canadian working in the press office of the Savoy in England. I will be interviewing Ron Bass and talking about this trilogy, so stay tuned for that video before the end of the month. With these three books, the TBR goes to $14.99. Next up is another cozy mystery. This is from House of Anansi Press, one of my favorite Canadian publishers. And this is Bury the Lead by HIlton and Elizabeth Renzetti. I think this might be the beginning of a series or a trilogy as well. In this, Kat Conway is a reporter who becomes a suspect in the murder of an actor that she has recently interviewed. So this sounds really good, and this brings the TBR to $1,500 again. The last book that I have for Mystery Madness is The Mystery Guest by Nita Prose. So this says that it is a standalone novel, but I see it as the sequel to The Maid, which I absolutely loved. It continues to follow Molly, who we first meet in The Maid. And like the Priscilla Tempest books, this follows, a woman who works in a hotel and becomes a suspect for murder. And I'm hoping to like this as much as I really enjoyed The Maid. And this puts the TBR to $15.01. If you've been following my channel for at least a little while, then you know that I did a birthday haul earlier this month on International Women's Day, and I picked up some books that were specifically written by women to celebrate Women's History Month, I guess. So I will leave a link to that video below, and I talk about what these books are about in that video. But here I need to count them towards my TBR stack. So I picked up And Then She Fell by Alicia Elliott, which is on the Women's Prize long list this year. So that brings the TBR to 1502. From the Carol Shields Prize for Fiction, I picked up I Have Some Questions for You, and this is by Rebecca Makkai, bringing the TBR to 1503. The third book I picked up is one I really want to read soon, and it's The Story of Us by Catherine Hernandez. This brings the TBR stack to 1504. The next is a horror novel that puts the TBR at 1505 with Motherthing by Ainslie Hogarth. I've heard some really good things about this. And then the last book that I picked up in the birthday haul was I Who Have Never Known Men, and this is by Jacqueline Harpman, translated by Roz Schwartz. And I'm really excited to get to this. I've heard really good things, but of course this brings the TBR stack to 1506. From the Republic of Consciousness, I have Push Process by Jonathan Walker. This is a book about Venice and art. It includes several pictures of Venice and tells the story of Richard, who is interested in the history of Venice, but becomes, I would say, more interested in the present. So this brings the TBR stack to 1507. The final book on my haul list here is a gift from my friend Matt, and this is The Goblin Market and Other Poems by Christina Renzetti. This is a Penguins Classic edition. It's a beautiful edition. It's cloth. And Matt walked all over Toronto to get this particular edition. So thank you so much for that effort, Matt. And this is just, I think it's a beautiful gift. So this book is important because Matt and I are going to be starting a podcast in the next little while. And Goblin Market is the first short story that we will be talking about. Matt is an English professor, and we are going to be talking about literature that could be found on a first-year student's syllabus. So really, all literature is up for grabs, but some of it will be literature that might not be as well known. For me, it will be reading books that are on my radar, but that I haven't read before, that Matt knows very well. And I am going to be choosing a few short stories and poetry that maybe Matt isn't as familiar with. So hopefully we can teach each other. And I think it will be a fun podcast. So I will keep you posted as we get that started. And this lovely gift puts the TBR at 1508. So I'm hoping that there's some really great books in this haul. It does mean that my TBR is higher than it's ever been. Hopefully I can bring it back down when I do my wrap up in March. So a reminder that I will be talking more about the Priscilla Tempest mysteries when I interview Ron Bass. I'm really looking forward to that. And I will leave a link below to the books that I picked up on International Women's Day. And I will also keep you posted over the next probably few weeks about a podcast that I'm going to be doing with my friend Matt. Please let me know if you have read any of these books or if you are interested in any of them. Are there any books that you've hauled recently over the month of March that you are excited to read soon? I would love to hear all about it. I look forward to chatting with you in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and don't forget to make every day an adventure.